No man is more professional than I. I am a 1% man. I am not above or below any man. I'm training my mind. I'm building my body. I'm connecting to my soul. I'm investing my money. Welcome to the 1% Man Podcast. Let's go. Three, two, one. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Well, my great gentlemen, welcome back to the 1% Man Podcast. I have Kimanzi Constable here with me, Z, my good friend. Z, say what's up to everybody.
Hey, thanks for having me, Bertrand. What's up to all the men out there, all the 1%ers, and just anybody who is listening?
Right. It's always weird when you shoot a podcast in advance and you like say, hey, say what's up to everybody that's not here, but that will be here and listening later on.
Yeah, that's the world you live in, though. People consume content on their schedule. So a lot of times it's not going to be live or they're there unless you decide to switch up the format of this and stream it on Facebook Live when you record.
Oh, that's a great idea. Now I have a whole new way of looking at things, right?
Yeah.
Put that in a playbook right there.
And you get live audience participation and maybe even questions on there live.
Man, that's the big leagues right there. That's the big leagues.
That is. Technology makes it simple.
True that. So, Z, if I know most people don't know who you are and what you do. I do have a little tidbit, but I think you would be better served telling people what you do and you know how you do it. So, what is it that you do, and why is it important for the world?
I help people that want to become clowns and join the clown industry figure out how to do that. That's not what I do, because now we just lost all your listeners. I apologize. I am a lifetime entrepreneur. I am a father. I am a grandfather. And I am a lover of life. I started as an entrepreneur at 19 years old. I had a service business that grew to over $500,000 a year, but I did not have any mentors in my life. And I ran that business kind of to the ground and kind of leapt along. Even though it was a successful business, I wasn't successful at it. And I sold it in 2012 because even though it was great and I probably could have turned it into something amazing, it wasn't my passion. And in 2012, I really embraced who I am, which is a writer first and foremost, and decided, you know what, I'm going to put my words out there and see if anybody responds. And at this point here, almost 10 years later, I've written over 10 million words online. My articles have been published in 80 publications and magazines. I've written 4 books. I've traveled to 79 countries to train corporations on how to use content, and I've had a lot of fun along the way.
Man, you know, the one thing I love about your website, the one thing I always look at, it's like 2 million plus earned through publication. I'm just like, that's a lot of words to write to earn $2 million.
Yeah.
So that is stellar, my friend. So, you know, to get people to know you better, I want to ask you some questions just to kind of, we're already loose, but let's loosen up even more. What's your favorite color and why?
My favorite color is blue. I don't know that I know a reason why. I just connected with the color from a very early age, and all my wardrobe, shoes, or whatever I have, it's blue. Okay,
perfect. So Christmas gifts, blue. Birthday gifts, blue. Everything has to be blue. Perfect.
My car is blue.
Really?
Yeah. I got a blue SUV.
So, Z, moving along, what is one value you hold to yourself that you wish all men held themselves as well?
Well, I don't want to get on here in front. One value that I'm working on holding to myself is respecting my boundaries with myself and everybody else in my life. Okay. And by that, what I mean is we're so eager to help our spouse or the relationship that we're in or our kids and even strangers. We're wanting to do things to help them and to do things for them, and we don't do those things for ourselves. Like, it's this idea of treating yourself better than you treat everybody else.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so it's setting those boundaries of like what you will do, what you won't do, and not being afraid to, even to your spouse, saying no, like, no, I'm just not comfortable with that. And I need my space or whatever it is, holding that boundary with yourself and treating yourself like you're your greatest project, because guess what? You are your greatest project.
Yes, 100%. I definitely agree. So in terms of, how people say, it's be selfless, right? You have to be selfless. You have to give more than you receive. So I guess is there a happy medium in that? Or do you think you should give more to yourself first before you give to others? How do you take that and how do you run with that?
There's a difference between being selfish and being self-centered. Those are two different things.
Okay, explain that to me,
And
please.
I think that in life, you have to be selfish. Not in every circumstance. I'm not saying that, let's say you have some food and you're full and somebody, your spouse or whoever, your kid wants it, and you're like, no, it's my food. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the analogy of anybody who has been on an airplane. Most people have been on airplanes, and they tell you if the plane goes down and the oxygen comes down, put it on yourself first and then assist those around you, even your own kid. Why? Because in your desire to be selfless, you're going to put it on somebody else and then you're going to die, right? And then when you die, guess what? You can't help anybody at that point. And that's the analogy for what we do in life. We go and we help all these other people, even people in our life and our family, do everything to help them be better and to have a better experience and to be more comfortable at the cost of ourselves. And when we do that, we chip away a little piece of ourselves every single time, and we start to build resentment and bitterness. And that's where you see people snap. That's where people say, I want a divorce, or I'm going to end my relationship out of the clear blue, or quit their job and do something crazy. And all of these rash decisions come from years of being selfless while not taking care of themselves.
Wow, man, I wish more people would take that to heart, because I think so many times we've been taught from a young age, like, hey, it's better to give your things away. It's better to help other people. It's always better to look at someone else better than you look at yourself. But in the terms of what you're saying is that, hey, you know what? Stand in the pocket, take care of you, make sure you're okay. And once you're okay, you can help more people. And it gives that ability to help more people. Is that what you mean?
It's better to give from a place of abundance when you are taken care of, when you have what you need, and then you give from the abundance. That's going to be a stronger form of giving.
I like that. So I want to move along, because I know we could stick there all day. But what is the biggest challenge for men nowadays that you see in the marketplace, or in the world, or in life in general?
I think it's really identifying what it means to be a man today. And that has changed a lot in the years. I remember what it meant to be a man for my grandfather, who was 87 when he passed away. And he's the provider. He goes to work. The spouse cooks and cleans and does all that stuff. And it was a very movie-based version of how life is. And today, gender roles have changed. Situations have changed. I know, like myself, when my children were younger, my 3 children were younger, there was a situation where I lost my job. And my wife, my first wife, she ended up being the breadwinner. She went to work and I watched the kid. I was a stay-at-home dad. And that was like kind of like an ego hit in the beginning. Like it was hard for me to adjust to that in my mind, because we're so programmed with how things should be. And then after a while, I realized, like, you're getting a gift here. You're getting to spend time with your children at the beginning of their life and to help mold them and shape them. And when I saw it as a gift, everything just worked better. So what does it mean to be a man today? That's a challenge. And what does it mean to be a man today? I don't think anybody could tell you what that means for you. For each of us is different. Maybe you're the stay-at-home dad. Maybe you're the provider. Maybe it's a combination of both. In our house, I do all the cooking. I'm the chef in the house, which is not traditional. I cook all the meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the entire family of 7. So it's very different. And people are like, they come to the house, they come for over a meal, and they're like, oh, Cindy's not cooking. And I'm like, no, she's the cook in the house. And I embrace that because it's what I love. So it's being a man today in the 21st century is stepping into who you are, how you want to show up, what you love, and doing it unapologetically.
Wow. I want to go back to where you said that it took a hit to your ego when your first wife stepped up in the role. So did you learn about that gift in the beginning, or did you have to like reflect on that to learn that, hey, this was a precious time or a gift that I was able to spend with my kids as they were growing up?
It was a period of months of reflecting. There was a little bit of bitterness at first about losing my job because the company went out of business. There was a little bit of business there, and there was a little bit of business of me being in this position of not being the provider and feeling a little bit like less than a man, frankly. And then really it took some reading. I'm a Christian, so I was really talking to my pastor back then and reading the Bible, and then also some personal development for me to understand that you've been given a gift. Everything happens for a reason. You need to get over yourself and be there for your kids and really turn the situation. And probably the biggest lesson that I took away was we can't control what happens to us. We can only control how we respond. And I was responding very poorly.
Man. So in terms of that, you really had, because I'm looking at the difference between when you had your business, you had no mentors, and that crashed and burned. Do you think if you didn't have the mentors when you had, and you were able to talk to with that situation, would you have been able to see it the way you saw it and come out on the other side of that?
Yeah, if I had mentors back then in the first business that I had that could walk me through how to structure a business, taxes, how to be the CEO of the business and not just in the business, I'm sure that business could have grew to a couple $1 million business. It's a model that is still viable today. What I did back then it was a service-based business. People that are independent vendors to grocery stores, like let's say your Or Wheat Bread or your Little Debbie or your Pepperidge Farm, the people that are delivering those, you think those are part of the store. They're not. They're independent contractors. And the company gives them 20% of the profit, but they're responsible for their own truck insurance and all that other stuff. My business was to run their routes so that they can go on vacation, because these people invested $250,000 into this franchise. And with that investment, you're not going to trust any Joe off the street to operate your $100,000 truck and your $250,000 business. They needed somebody that they could trust and that would show up no matter what. Because if they're in France and they get a call from the company saying nobody's here delivering your product, they lose their business. So for them, it was crucial to have somebody who's reliable. And when I showed up and I was consistently reliable, I had a full schedule for 4 years. 4 years in advance, my schedule was full, and I had brought on 5 employees. Now, with that business, if I had some mentors that had taught me how to actually run this business, I wouldn't have been on the bread truck every day, because I would have managed the finances correctly, and I just would have oversaw my team, and it would have grown. We were already in Wisconsin and Illinois. There's these independent vendors in 50 states in the United States. Who knows how big it could have grown. So it's still a viable business model, but I just didn't have the exposure to people that would help me understand how to do entrepreneurship.
That's wild. And I think that's amazing too. And then just seeing it now that and now what you're doing, how the way you mentor people and how you coach them through, because even myself, I'm a product of you and your wife, because you guys have helped me. I had to take a step back from my business and say, you know what, I'm not doing it the right way. And I had to really humble myself and put my ego aside, because there was a point in time where I was like, no, I know what I'm doing. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And I was just like, hold on. He does know what he's talking about. They know what they're talking about. Let me humble myself. They're at a greater place than I am. And for us men, and especially, I think men in the ages of like that 27 to like, you say 35, we're very ego driven. How do we put our ego aside, or how do we humble ourselves without taking it personally? You know what I'm saying? How would you advise somebody to do that?
And I think for us as men, without making a generalization, because I don't like generalizations as an editor for the Goodman Project, that's one thing I see all day long is people making generalizations about men. But I think for us, as men, it's a little bit harder to see investments into our development in the same way we'd see other investments. Meaning if we wanted to buy an iPhone or some running shoes or whatever, there probably wouldn't be so much hesitation. There might be a little bit, but not so much. But if it comes to investing in a personal development coach or a trainer, a personal trainer or a nutritionist, like I know people who invest in trainers and maybe personal development. I know very few people that invest in nutritionists. Do you know anybody that's invests in nutritionists? Things like that, those kind of investments that help us optimize who we are, I think that's the point where we got to get over our ego and realize, yes, there's information on the internet, but hiring a professional mentor can speed along this process. And at the end of the day, this is one of the best ways for you as a man to love yourself, is to invest into you, the things that get your mind and your body right.
True. And also being that, I've seen you invested in a trainer yourself, being investing into a trainer. Did you start by yourself and then invested, or did you say, you know what, I need help from the jump, I'm getting a trainer?
My weight and health has been kind of an ongoing thing for most of my adult life, where I've lost over 150 pounds 3 different times in my life and gained it back. And most of those ways were very unhealthy. Like I would exercise for 6 hours a day and only eat 1,000 calories. And I was starving. I was miserable. I was the worst person you wanted to be around. And then when I thought about, I want to do this in a healthy way, I thought, not only do I know how to lose weight, I know how to do it. Like, I know how to lose weight with my body, but I wanted to look a certain way. I want to look like Bertrand. I want to take off my shirt and, be posing in the mirror and all the crap that he's doing. Like, that's what I wanted to be doing. And so I knew to get there, I needed somebody that could teach me the movements that are going to get me there. So I knew that investing in a trainer was the way to go. And I had a trainer originally that was not the best. And then I ended up switching, and the trainer that I have now, he's absolutely amazing. And I'm doing things in the gym I never thought I could do.
Great. I think that's always so important, because I used to be a trainer, and I love the point when clients come in and they're like, I don't know if I can do this. Then you see them like 3 weeks later, 8 weeks later, then they're doing things. They're just like, do you remember 4 weeks later when you couldn't, like 8 weeks ago, you couldn't do this, and now you're doing this? And I think that's where the real magic happens. And I want to get to these questions, so I want to move along. But when it comes to choosing the right partner, because I know we talked about that before in our talks offline, why should men listen to you when it comes to talking about choosing the right partner?
Oh man, I've had the experience. I was married. I got married the day after I turned 18 in my first marriage, and I was married on paper for 18 years. So by all accounts, people might look at that and be like, wow, 18 years and you got married so young. It might look successful. But even my ex-wife would tell you, and we're amicable, so she would tell you it just wasn't, we became codependent. It wasn't a good fit. We didn't support each other in being the best versions of ourselves. And then after that period, I spent a couple years of being single and sowing my wild oats. And I traveled to 36 different countries in a 2-year period for corporate consulting. And you know what? I had some experiences dating and women of all over the world and all kinds of crazy stuff. And that was the experience that really helped me see what I like, what I don't like, what I definitely don't like. And then after all that, I decided to come back to the United States, settle down, got a place for the first time in my adult life, had my own apartment. And then I really started to put out to the universe, I'd love to attract a partner that wants growth as much as I do, that's entrepreneurial, that wants to take over the world. And when I put that out there after working on myself, the universe brought that partner into my life, which is my wife, Cindy, and we've been married for a little over a year and a half now, and together for over 2 years. And she's absolutely amazing. Like, she's the kind of partner that will not only support me, but also call me out, like say, that's bull. Like, you're making excuses. You're not doing what you say you want to do with yourself. And that's entrepreneurial, and that shows up every day and is committed to her own growth. And it happened once I worked on me.
There's 2 things I want to hit on. So you talked about 2 great things: codependency, and then you also talked about working on yourself too before marriage. Let's talk about codependency right here real quick. What does codependency look like? How do we get over it? Or how do we notice it? How do we smell it? How do we hey, that's it, we need to stop this?
So everybody has seen, or I would guess a lot of guys have seen the movie Jerry Maguire. And they've seen the scene at the end where he's like, you complete me, right? Like, or is that Jerry Maguire? Yeah, it is Jerry Maguire. And that idea of you complete me, that's codependency. And it's been hardwired into our brain. Ooh. Where you feel like you cannot be the best you do you without somebody else. And the reality is when you need somebody to complete you, you're never going to be complete. The healthy relationship is two complete people coming together and agreeing to build an empire together. That's my definition of a power couple, if you will. If you are so reliant on the other, and this is what codependency looks like. You start off as two individual people. Then all of a sudden you have mutual friends. Then you have no individual friends. Then you're doing everything together. And then you're not spending time apart. And if you do, it causes friction in your relationship. So when me and my ex-wife were codependent, I started traveling for corporate consulting. Then we get into these fights where it's like, you're cheating on me in that country, or you're messing around with other girls, all this stuff. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, where is this coming from? And it was that we had built that codependency where we couldn't be apart, or where when we're apart, well, what am I supposed to do now? Like, I'm just in the house. Well, go hang out with your friend. Well, I don't have any friends. Like, you build that codependency where you lose your identity and your partner loses that identity, and you become a joint Facebook profile. It's pretty much what you Dude, that's actually really clever.
That's a joint Facebook profile. That's like the worst.
And that's what you become in essence in the relationship. When the reality is you should be going on boys trips. You should have your partner go on girls trips. You should do things together, but you should also have things that are just you.
Man, I love that. I was actually reading a book. It's called I Used to Be a Miserable Fuck by John Kim, angry therapist. And he talks about how important it is for men to meet up together and to have men trips and to go out on man dates. And I actually make it once a week that I go on a man date and, connect with other men, because it's so important for my vitality, just my mental health as well. So yeah, that codependency is a killer. So what is the difference then? Because, when you're young and you're infatuated with somebody, you call them, you text them all the time. Is that codependency or is that not codependency? If you're always on the phone together, you're always doing things together, no, or is codependency more deeper than that?
It's so the calling and the texting and all that. And let's say you did it 100 times a day. That's fine. That's not codependency. Codependency is when the person doesn't text back right away, or they don't text back as much as you, or they don't say what you thought that they should say, and then it affects your mental state. That's when you're starting to get codependent. So you can talk, and you can talk as much as you want. And if you guys are talking, vibing, you're having those conversations, and everything's fine. But when that other person, what they do affects your mental state, then you're starting to build codependency, because maybe they were busy. Maybe they just don't want to talk to you right now. Maybe maybe they have a hernia out. You don't know what's going on, but you starting to build all these scenarios in your head because it's a dopamine hit for you where, oh man, they haven't responded quick enough, or they're not responding with 10 I love yous. That's when you're starting to get codependency, because you're looking for them to give you that dopamine hit of happiness that you should get within yourself. At the end of the day, your partner is going to be attracted to somebody, a man that has things going on in their life. When you're busy doing your things, being a man, building your business, doing your career, working on your body, you're busy doing all the things that make you your best you. That's what's going to attract your partner, not being needy.
And that perfect segue into attraction and attracting the right partner to you. Now, I gotta ask, did you write it down? Did you just say what you wanted and just put it out there every day? Did you set the intentions? How did you attract the right partner to you? How did you attract Sydney to you?
So I started, I worked with the coach, first of all, to kind of get rid of the junk that was in my head. All the old stories I was telling myself about why I didn't deserve the right partner, how I wasn't worthy. That was a real big one, that I'm not feeling worthy of somebody really amazing. I had to work with somebody to get that junk out of my head. And then it was thinking about, what do I really want in a partner? I wrote it down very specifically. I wanted them to be able to speak Spanish. That's one thing that I wrote down. You're like, what? I had spent a year in Colombia and I'd learned Spanish, and I wanted to continue that. And I speak Spanish fluently. And I wanted somebody that could also speak it with me.
Oh, wow.
So I was specific about that. I wanted somebody who was an entrepreneur. I wanted somebody who didn't have little kids, because my youngest child is 17 years old. And so with little kids, they can build attachments. And if the relationship doesn't work out, that's hard for everybody. And I didn't want to start over and I didn't want to go there. So I wasn't going to do anybody with any little kids. At first, I limited my geography and then I opened my mind and realized, look, you can travel on a dime. Don't limit love. So, but I was very specific in what I wanted. And when I put that out to the universe, like, this is what I'm specifically looking for, the universe brought Cindy, who was already in my life as one of my good friends, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, we were friends for 5 years before we ever sparked any kind of anything romantic.
Wow. So how did you and Cindy meet then?
We met online through a mutual friend that had hired me to help him get into to do some writing. And I had done a good job for him, and he introduced me to his entire friend circle, and Cindy was one of those friend circles. So then after about a year of just being connected online, she hired me as her coach to help her with some writing. And then after that, we remained friends, and we met for the first time in person in 2017. And when we met, it was just like an instant spark. Like, it was like we just knew it was a spark.
Oh, wow. So there was no pickup line? No DM slides?
I had no pickup lines. Pickup lines were pretty weak back then.
It's kind of funny. I would say that, like, I'm really not good with online dating. Just because, like, I just don't have it. I'm just not good with the words. Like, I just can't do it. But, like, you meet me in person, I'm witty, I got it, I'm funny, like, I got it. But online, it doesn't transfer. It just doesn't transfer at all. So now I do want to ask you, what is the secret to choosing the right partner for long-term success? So what are some traits that we're looking for? Give us, like, 3 or 4 traits that you think we should look for in a woman. If we're a man and we're dating somebody, and we're like, what's that trait that we're looking for long-term success, for marriage, or even just first, let's talk about dating and then marriage.
I think you should look at the work that they're doing to become a better version of themselves. So how are they handling their health? How are they handling their mind? What are some things that they can do on their own? What are some things that they're doing to become the better them? And if they're not doing those things, then there's a good chance that even if you got together and you push them, they're not going to do those things. Bertrand was a trainer, so he could tell you this, and I see this in the gym all day long. Spouses that come in to work out together, one is super committed, one is like, right? Right?
Oh my God, yeah. I hear it all the time. Oh yeah, my boyfriend, he works out, so I'm good. Oh, I'm just like, my husband works out, so I'm good. It's just like, no, you're not.
And you could feel it, and that's how it's going to be in your relationship if you try to be the influence on that person that's not already doing it to themselves. Now, they might not be doing it at your level of commitment to being better. That's fine. But if they are committed to the growth, that's something you should definitely look at. You should definitely look at what they've done to heal their past trauma. That's something to look at. What are they doing about their past? Are they working with somebody? Are they reading books? Have they addressed it? Are they over, their ex? Are they over the bad breakup? Or are they going to carry those scars into your relationship? Let's say they were cheated on, and then all of a sudden they haven't worked on that. Then all of a sudden, everything you do, they want to see your phone. They're all in your stuff, and you're going to be walking on eggshells. It's not a great relationship. So are they working on themselves? What have they done to heal their past? And then what do they want out of life is the third thing. What are their goals and ambitions? Where do they want to go? And you have to make sure those things align with where you want to go. Let's say somebody wants to live in an Airstream and just travel across the United States, looking for rattlesnakes. Is that something that you want? You want to become a rattlesnake hunter, or do you want to travel and they don't? There's a bigger one. I've seen relationships where somebody wants to explore and see the world and the other person doesn't. They want to be limited to just their geography. Do they want to be an entrepreneur and you don't? That could be an issue. It's not always sticking and end all be all, but sometimes it's an issue because it takes a lot of work to build a business. So it's really, where do they want to go, and how does that align with where you want to go?
Man, those are great points. Now, I do want to go back to the point of past relationships and exes. So I think a lot of times we'll find that women have been in past relationships with guys, and they may have this idea, or maybe a generalization, right? The perfect way to say a generalization of how men act, right? how much grace do we give until we're like, you know what, you talk about your ex too much, or you know what, you are portraying me as somebody else that I'm not. How much grace do we give until we're like, until we should cut it off? Do you say?
Only really you as a man are going to know that, but I would tell you what has to happen that doesn't happen. You have to vocalize that that's a problem for you. What we do as men is we internalize it. So we're irritated about it, we're frustrated about it, and we don't say anything. And then it builds up into a huge argument. At some point, the volcano blows over. You have to, first of all, if you're in a relationship where you cannot verbalize how you feel without it feeling like an attack from the other person and they're getting all crazy, then you have to examine, is this the right situation for you? So when they coming at you and they're talking about their ex and past and men and, like, men are dogs and like all that, and you're like, this is a problem for me. I'm not your ex. I'm not anybody that you've been with the past. I'm a grown, I'm not going to swear, but I'm a grown man. You know what I wanted to say there, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's who I am. I'm not going to cheat on you. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do the work on myself. I'm going to support you. I should not be compared to anybody else. I should not be put in jail for somebody else's crimes.
Exactly. So,
and if they continue to put you in jail, then you have a decision to make. Then you can give them an ultimatum and say, look, we have to find some way to get past this, or we just have to call it, because life is too short just to continue to be in jail for somebody else's crimes.
Exactly. So, and before we wrap up, I want to ask you, what have you learned this year, or what's something that you've taken from this year that you wish to share with us? A lesson or a story or something that you think is important to share?
This year, I've learned more than anything is you have to have clarity on what you want out of life and what you want in your job, your business, your career, whatever it is. Because this is a weird year. We're not doing the things that we used to do. We've had a lot of time to sit and reflect. And one thing that I took away from this year, like, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a business, and I've worked with a lot of clients over the last 9 years that were not a good fit for me. And this year I got clarity on, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not waking up every day looking at my schedule and seeing names and just dreading getting on the phone. Like, why am I doing that with my time, my life, my energy? And when I have that mindset, I can't get them the best result. There's somebody out there that's better for them, and it's not me. I should connect them with that person, and I should move on to who is the right fit for me. So this year, more than anything, has taught me clarity on how do I want to show up? What do I want to do with my time? And don't do the things that you don't want to do. We tend to do those things because we think there's not enough money or there's not enough opportunity with the things we really want to do. That's a limited mindset. And you're putting that out there to the universe. You got to put out there to the universe, there's more than enough, there's abundance, and that's where I'm going all in.
Hell yeah. Love it.
In a year of clarity, for sure.
Definitely a year of clarity. So, Z, I always like to do this for my guests. Any last words, anything that you thought of through this whole time that we were talking that you just want to say before we wrap up?
Yeah, being a man, and this idea of being a man is the idea of being the best, the strongest, the most optimized version of you. So what I'm going to tell you is buck the trend, invest in yourself, whether it's a new pair of running shoes that are going to help you exercise, whether it's hiring a personal trainer, the things that you put in your body, definitely the things that you put in your mind. Think about all of those different things. How are they helping you be an optimized man? And if they're not, don't do those things. You want to attract an amazing partner, build a business, have a great career, live a long and happy life, then the way that happens is becoming the best and the strongest version of you. Have a vision for what that looks like. Write it down somewhere. Put up a vision board, whatever it takes for you to get that vision. And don't stop. Don't give up. Keep going. Because once you do that, once you're your best, strongest you, that's when you're going to attract everything that you want in your life.
Hell yeah. I'm with it. Man, y'all heard it here first with Kimanzi Constable, the man that has made $2 million from publications and writing. And not only that, but has helped a host of people as well as myself to look inside and to find clarity. So what I want you to do is I want you to go back to what you heard again, listen over it, find one thing, implement it today. And remember, your legacy starts today.
Thank you, my friend, for tuning into today's episode. This means so much to us over here at the 1% Man community. Now, we want to extend a hand of gratitude to you. So I have a free gift for you. All you have to do is go to www.the1percentman.com/podcast gift. This is an exclusive gift for listeners that tune into our podcast. So go over there, get that free gift as well. And now I have two simple acts of you. One, hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment and a 5-star review, because that helps us to see what you love about the podcast, and that helps us to bolster up in the rankings so more people can find us and listen to this pertinent information that we have for men of today's age. Last but not least, I want you to go back and listen to this podcast. Find just one thing that you can implement in your life today so you can move forward. Remember, progress over perfection. And till next time, my friend, your legacy starts today.